We used the SimInsight simulation to investigate graphs of motion, and the beauty of the SimInsight's platform, in my opinion, is that it's not very fancy. However, there's a lot of room for creativity, and that's what I wanted to inspire in my students. So we had been studying constant velocity and constant acceleration models in my classroom, and in particular we were looking at multiple ways to represent motion graphically or mathematically or verbally, and so the SimInsight's platform was a great way to push their understanding forward past contrived models of my own design or models that exist in textbooks. Their goal was to make a simulation of anything falling or moving or what have you, all the different arrays of possibilities that are basically endless with the SimInsight's activity, and then their goal was to challenge each other to accurately map the position versus time and the velocity versus time and the acceleration versus time of the objects in their simulations. And so the first day of the activity was to get familiar with the platform. There was the students were set to challenge each other on their activities, and there was mass confusion. Okay, however, that was a motivating factor for my students. Okay, so their creativity had basically blossomed under the SimInsight platform, and then they were asked, and then they were confused by each other's simulations on how it would work, how it would look in position versus time space or velocity versus time space, and they're motivated to understand why different simulations produce these different velocity versus time graphs. And this was an interesting aspect of when I gave the lesson. It was the first time that students had seen motion in 2 dimensions. Okay, so it was a great introduction of the confusion that can happen when you try to look at something moving in 2 dimensions, and how that can look as a position versus time graph in the x direction or in the y direction, and the velocity in the x direction and the y direction, and to separate those out. So the SimInsight's activity ended up being a great tool for them to discover that on their own. And so if you're a teacher out there, I highly recommend this tool for your physics classroom. There's a little bit of a learning curve, of course, with anything, but its simple platform is deceptive, because in fact there's an infinite amount of complexity that can come into your classroom through this platform.